Hello, I'm Kenneth Ward. I'm the Principal of Educational Services here at the Gavras Center. I'd like to take a moment to speak to the families of the special needs children for some of the questions that have been asked thus far during our reopening planning process and try to address some questions, recognizing that there still are going to be questions. So please, if there are more questions, to send them in, reach out to us so that we can get them answered for you. The one thing that we would like to do right at the moment is kind of get a presentation going here. So we do recognize that there are going to be some expectations that we might not be used to when it comes to our special education students. And then I'd also like to spend a little bit of time on what the program and therapies are going to look like for this coming school year. So we have had some changes since March. Most important thing though is that our children with special needs have a right to participate fully in life with dignity. So we have been working with the New York State Department of Education, which is NYSED, and this is a fluid process since many things change weekly, daily, even hourly. So please understand that when these occur, other things are going to be changed. We will be communicating in the most efficient method to keep you updated because it is important for you to have that information. So we encourage you to utilize our text system. We're also suggesting that you check our website, as often as possible, and also be watching for anything written as far as a letter or memo. And we do know that this is our most vulnerable population and they're going to need the most support. So we also know that everything is learned, and so we really truly believe that every student can develop the skills and be able to maintain their healthy and safe environment by doing their part. So 2 expectations that are gonna need support during the day, the social distancing. This is something that, we all are aware that we need to stay 6 feet apart, but we also recognize these are little children. Is this possible? Sometimes special needs children don't understand personal bubbles and personal spaces. But again, with students seeing each other and recognizing that they are doing their part, we believe that we can build upon this. We know that through the adults supporting them, reminding them, showing them, it is possible. So we're going to work very hard on that. What if your child has an aide for support? We do recognize that sometimes they have to be within the 6 feet, so staff are always going to be masked. Staff will be supporting with healthy habits as well, but we are going to encourage students be wearing masks. We will build those skills as well, and that is the next one that's kind of an unusual expectation for a special needs child. But we will work with your child. There are some children who have health needs that require them not to wear masks, that it could endanger their well-being or their health and safety. So we are going to work with families on this. We would appreciate the medical documentation as well to ensure that we are doing what your physician has outlined. So please make certain that you communicate with us about the expectation. And all day is what we're shooting for, but again, we do recognize that there are going to be times when they have to take a mask break. Those are going to be built into the schedule so that they can have the mask off and be well and healthy and safe. So this is going to be occurring when they are taking a mask break. They will have to be socially distanced. the staff will continue to wear their masks. So they will be safe around the children, and the children will also be comfortable enough to take their masks off. So both of these are a little unusual for special needs children, but we believe that with our support and, reminding and supporting, this is something that they can build up to and be able to do on their own. We do have other skills that we've got to work on. And we recognize that the first couple weeks might even be longer than that, but the first few will be repetition of the routine and showing the hand washing. We are going to have hand washing going on before they go to the playground, before they go into the motor space. Once they're done with the playground, once they're done with the motor space, we have invested in mobile hand washing stations so that we can locate them close to these areas, because we know that when children are walking the halls, they sometimes like to have their hand rubbing on the wall. They like the sensation, they like the feel of it. So in that, we know that when they reach that location, whether it's the playground or motor room, they've already been touching things. So we want to try and keep those areas clean. So that's why hand washing is going to be occurring. The routine of the day is important to them. They'll eventually get so that they know that once they get back to the room, they need to wash their hands again. Before they eat, they need to wash their hands. When they're done eating, need to wash their hands. So again, it's just building the routine, building the skill up. And again, if staff are wearing their masks and modeling the skills that they need to, the students pick up on it and they recognize the importance of it. Covering coughs and sneezes is extremely difficult for the age group, and it becomes even more so when children aren't able to verbalize their needs or what's about to happen. So this is going to be a difficult one. I'm not saying that it's impossible, though. I truly believe that if we keep modeling, use a tissue. If a tissue is not available, then we need to be going into our elbow. I really, truly feel that this group is capable of learning the skills and building it up enough so that they can start to do this on their own. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes everyone just reminding and supporting and modeling. So a key element that we took away from all of this is if we individualize the materials, such as their own crayons, their own markers, their own scissors, all of these are going to be in there. Each student will have their own container so that they have it without sharing. That's one way of cutting down on the spread of germs. So students are quickly able to recognize when it's their own. Staff puts their picture on it, also puts their name with it. The children come to recognize where theirs are located in the room. And it was very successful this summer, and we're looking forward to utilizing it this fall. We are also going to invest in the partitions that are placed on top of the tables. This is going to give each student their own little workspace. It will cut down on the amount of reaching over and trying to borrow their friends' items. Likewise, their friends reaching over and borrowing your child's items. It's a nice way to help the staff be able to interact with the students without having to run from one end of the table to the other. It's much easier with a partition. We still have the therapists, and they are going to be supporting the classrooms through skill building and addressing some of these through therapies. They're always wonderful with the speech, especially in utilizing the communication methods. So we are really looking forward to the staff supporting one another like they've always done, and just taking on a new challenge, which is making certain that the health and safety aspects are being addressed, especially for this particular population. Special needs students, how to work together when parents can't come to the classroom. And this is probably the hardest one, because staff always loved having parents be able to come in so that they could see their child working in the classroom. This is extremely heart-wrenching to have to tell families that they can't come in. It's through the guidelines from the Department of Health and CDC. So we will make certain that we just give you as much communication as we can and fill it thoroughly, because you want to know what's going on. You want to know about therapies. You want to be able to support at home. And so the suggestions from our staff on what you can implement at home is going to be beneficial to you and to help your child recognize, oh, hey, I was doing that at school and now I'm doing it here at home. All of us have really struggled with, at some point in time during this, remaining positive, but it is most important that our students see that we all are working together and we are supporting one another, because it's not our decisions, it's coming from the overseeing agencies, and it's influencing the students. So we just got to stay positive with one another. We have to support one another. And please, let's all keep the focus that the child's the one that's most impacted by how we react. If we work together and show that we're supporting one another, the child is going to feel safe. He and she are going to feel supported, and they're going to thrive. So that's where we've just got to work along with one another, do those healthy habits, build the skills, make certain that we're cleaning and sanitizing everything. So items that come home, make certain that you're supporting us by washing and cleaning the cloth masks, any blankets that might have come in during the day. Please do your part and make certain stuff that comes back in has been cleaned and sanitized. So a big question is, what's the program? What are the therapies? Are they in person? Are they not in person? The classroom is going to be a little bit different. There's not as much furniture in the classroom because we're trying to keep a much bigger open space so that students do have the room to be away from one another, and build that up to being able to have, they'll recognize the little spots on the floor, so that if they're there, their friends should be on a spot so that they are distanced apart. The therapies, the therapeutic rooms and so on, they're still going to be supporting. They're still going to be doing what they've always done. And, a big part's going to be that help in the classroom for the students to recognize the skills that they need to be building in the classroom. We will continue to support what's been recommended on the IEPs. So that will not go away. We recognize that the IEP is what drives us. So we want to ensure that we are addressing that. So how can we be successful? Communication. You've heard it numerous times. We just have to keep communicating. So the classroom teachers, they're going to use all sorts of methods. They're going to use emails. They're going to use text. They're going to do phone calls. They're going to send stuff home in notebooks. They're going to, however much you want, we're going to make certain that we're addressing it so that you feel comfortable. And we want to keep in-person programming for as long as we can. We know that's the most meaningful to these students, and we want to keep that method going. We do recognize that we don't get to have the final say. So if one of the overseeing agencies stops the programming of in-person, then we will use virtual. But we know that virtual is not the best method. However, we will work with families to try and get virtual so it's much more efficient. We want you to utilize it. We want you to be a part. We want to develop a schedule. Therefore, we will work with you, and we are not going to end the year right in the middle or anything. We will continue to provide. Therapists, amazing people, they just adapt no matter what, and so they're going to use various methods to communicate with you folks at home. They want you knowing what's going on. They want you to be able to continue to carry over what they do here. So please just make certain that if anything changes on your part, such as a phone number, an email address, anything like that, please communicate to us. And we do recognize that when we go from in-person to virtual, sometimes the IEP just does not allow for everything to be done. However, our staff and therapists are going to do their very best to be flexible with those provisions and make certain that we're still supporting as best we can. So if the virtual is utilized, then we're going to work with you folks at home to establish a schedule meeting time. We're going to establish those scheduled therapies so that you can log in and be virtual with our therapists, work with them, and have the classroom staff work with your child for a period of time in person. And then there's also going to be recordings that we would really strongly encourage you to attend those as well. But again, we want in person as much as possible, and we only are going to use virtual in the very last instant. So please work along with us on this. We know that there are things that we cannot control on this. So nothing's accomplished unless you try. That's what we've always learned ourselves. So we know that students can learn in the new classroom. Students are resilient. They just mold and flex to things much easier than we as adults do. So we need to give them credit that even though things might be different, they're going to bend with it a lot easier than we have. Walking, talking, holding things, these were skills that were learned. So even social distancing, wearing a mask, healthy habits like hand washing, covering your coughs and sneezes, they can be learned. They're a skill. So we know that this can happen. We need to clean and sanitize in order to have a healthy environment, but that also means that we need the things that go home to be cleaned and sanitized as well. We're pushing for cloth masks, and so that means after they've been used, they need to be cleaned and sanitized. We cannot be as successful without the support of you at home. So we as a team approach makes everyone feel a part and know that they are important. So staff will be sharing what's going on during the day, and they're going to look forward to hearing from you as far as what's happening at home. Are they not sleeping? Are they, awake and then asleep and then awake and asleep? Because all of this influences what happens here during the day. Whatever we're doing, we're going to communicate to you. We're going to tell you how we're saying it, how we're doing it. It's just like when I speak to you about them coming here. If there are certain things that you say and do at home, we want to try and mimic that because we want them hearing the same things that they hear at home. So please practice, practice, practice. And we on our end are working as a whole staff community that we use common language. So from our receptionist all the way to the therapists and teachers and aides, anybody that's in the building, we all will be using the same kind of language so that we know that we're communicating safe, healthy, and a comfortable environment for the children so they feel at ease. When they feel comfortable, then they start learning. If they're on edge, if they're worried, then we're not going to have learning happening, and that's not what it's about. If you have health concerns about your child, this is where, again, we need to communicate with one another. We have a nurse on staff. She is here for the purpose of ensuring that your child is safe during the day. For the instances where they don't feel good, they have one of those, oopsies where they get a bump, a bruise, a scratch even. We communicate with you folks when that happens, and we would hope the same thing on your end. We need to be able to communicate with one another, and we need to keep daily track of everyone's health, and we need this from you. So let's work together on this so that we can ensure that our program is running as safe and healthy as possible. If you have further questions, I know it's going to come the first week of school, and they're whatever. You've just got to push them out to me, reach out to me, phone calls, emails, communicate to me. I want to answer those questions for you, because that's the only way we're going to make them feel like superstars. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to a very successful year. And I'm looking forward to having all of us working together so that we have a much better program. Thank you for your time. I appreciate this.